another video. As usual, make sure y'all like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit that like button so my videos can be on other people's recommended videos so they can like, share, and subscribe it too. And make sure y'all hit the notification bells so y'all can be notified every time I post a video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Without subscribers, I wouldn't be here right now. Just a real quick video. The reason why you should mod your car. Not just a Dodge Charger, not a Challenger, any type of car. Well, I wouldn't say any car, not no little Prius or Tesla or what's another bad looking car? Chevy Sonic or something like that. Like basically like cars like that, you don't want to modify. But I still just in general, I still say modified. Like as in the modifications I'm talking about, just two or three basic modifications. The first modification, modifying the exhaust. So with you modifying the exhaust, it takes a lot of your engine, it takes a lot of back pressure off your exhaust, and it pushes more free-flowing air through your exhaust. So it takes that back pressure off and it gives you more free-flowing air, which also adds on more horsepower and more torque. So once you switch up the exhaust, the factory exhaust to like a Flowmaster, even without you putting the muffler on there, in the straight pipe in the exhaust, delete muffler delete and everything, you're gonna add more horsepower and more torque to the car regardless. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. What the manufacturing do, they do it to meet the required emissions test. So if they put a regular Flowmaster on there or straight pipe it, then they're not gonna pass the emissions test and they can't sell the car to that individual. Or they can put that car on that dealership or that lot. So that's why they put these I'll call them silencers, because they got big ass fat mufflers that really don't need to be on the car, which actually makes the car even worse because it's not getting the horsepower that it's supposed to get, it's not getting the torque that it's supposed to get, and also it's not getting that airflow that it's not getting. So it's actually making your car run much more lean or more rich or whatever like that. So by you modifying the exhaust, whether it be muffler delete, straight pipe, Flowmaster, MagnaFlow, you're going to gain more horsepower, more torque, much more better than it coming from factory. The factory, you got the regular, like a Dodge Charger, the regular 292 horsepower, stock, bone stock 292, no intake, no exhaust. Now when you make those modifications to the exhaust, you're going to get much more horsepower. It all just depends on the car. So I use the Dodge Charger for example because obviously I own a Dodge Charger. So I know to the crank I'm at least getting 320 to the crank. But wheel horsepower, I'm not sure how much I'm getting. I don't do dyno tests and stuff like that. I can care less about it. I just want my car to look good. That's what I care about when it comes to that aspect. But when you do modify the exhaust, you will get more horsepower, you will get more torque. It all just depends on your car. So you can go do a dyno test and see what it is. Normally, like for a Dodge Charger, with those modifications that I have, 280 wheel horsepower. So, but to the crank, I'm still getting like 3 something. The car is heavy, so that's why I'm not getting as much horsepower to the wheels. But, so, once again, straight pipe, all that good stuff. So, second modification is the air intake. So, you can get you can go get you a cold air intake or a short ram intake if you prefer. I prefer just to cut the bottom of the intake box. I'm gonna do a video on that very soon with my Dodge journey. It's the same as doing a short ram intake or a cold air intake. It's no different because when you get a short ram intake or a cold air intake, it comes with the little cone filter. It's the same concept, the same damn concept. So instead of you going out and paying $80 or $100, $200 for intake, you can just cut your intake box, get a saw, cut the bottom of the intake box. It's going to breathe in much more air. It's up to 440, 460 estimated to the tank. This is to empty. So I gained like 30 fucking more miles, 30 plus more miles to the gallon. Yeah, 20 to 30 plus more miles to the gallon just by doing those simple modifications. But that's one of the second modifications you can do. Get in the cold air intake. That's going to increase your torque. It's going to increase your horsepower and you're going to get better airflow. So you want colder air in your intake. You're going to have more air in your intake. Now, I wouldn't say colder air because even when you get a cold air intake or short air intake, you're still that cone filter is still breathing in the hot air from the engine bay. So even though people say, oh yeah, it's breathing in colder air, much more colder air, no, it's really not. It's much better than breathing through a little straw, and that's what it's like. That's what the manufacturing do. What the manufacturer does, I really hate that they do this to cars just to pass tests and stuff like that, and to cost the society more money, because sadly you gotta go modify your car just to get those gains, those horsepowers, that better airflow. So I don't believe in what the manufacturing does is really good. Some of the stuff is actually good you need, but like the exhaust and the intake and the air intake stuff like that, I just can't. I've seen too much. I've seen too much good come out of me modifying my vehicle, and also on other YouTubers, on other YouTubers channels. They seen the benefit of them getting a new colder intake, or them getting an exhaust. It could be a Magnaflow exhaust, catback, whatever it can be. But back to the second topic. So with that, like I say, with that cold air intake, you're gonna get more horsepower, you're gonna get more torque, all that good stuff. Like I said, it all just depends on the car. So it all really just depends on the car. That's all I can say. And third modification is a tune. Me personally, I don't believe in tuning cars like that. If you're serious about racing and stuff like that, tune a car. But when you do change your exhaust and when you do change your air intake, it's kind of not recommended, but you want to tune it so you can recalibrate your ECU, calibrate the ECU so it can relearn, or just adjust some stuff in the system. But as in, like, say, my personal experience doing it, I gained 30 plus miles to the gallon without doing a tune. Exhaust change without doing a tune by changing just the air filter and changing the exhaust. Now with a tune, I probably would get more gas mileage out of my Charger or out of my the Dart that I did have. I probably would have got more gas mileage because I adjusted the ECU. Now it's reading differently. Now it's reading what it's supposed to read. I don't recommend a tune, but that's one of the third modifications you need just to have your car complete. I don't recommend any of the modifications like shorty tube headers, long tube headers, stuff like that, unless you're talking about racing, like if you're talking about getting on the track. But for like this street driving, daily driving, I recommend these mods because you're gonna save gas, especially if you go driving to work 40, 50 miles a day. If you are, hopefully y'all not, but if you're driving 40 to 50 miles a day from work, that's 80, what is that, my bad, that's 100 miles a day. So you wanna do those modifications so you can get the best gas mileage that you can, because what the manufacturers do is try to get money from you. So they send you with the bone stock car, it's gonna send you to the gas station more. With a bone stock car, it's gonna cause a little bit more problems, like your starter might go out quicker, or you might with the air filter might get dirtier faster, or something, just basic little stuff like that. But that's pretty much the end of the video, man. I just want to but make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to the channel, man. Hit that notification bell so y'all can be notified every time I post a video. It's your boy Josiah.
The spiritual levels, no dancing with devils, no fellow with rebels. Some digging with shovels, they digging real deep. Some humble, they hearken, they listen, they meet. Some praise the Most High 7 days of the week. Some put in that work and go teach in the streets. Some just come to take up the air that we breathe.